Hello, students, AP World students. This is supposed to be very short. It's just a quick analysis of this DBQ, the one document DBQ. Uh, some of these are very good. I'm starting to think a lot of you could get a 4. And maybe if I trained you how to get that final point, the so-called unicorn point, you could get a 5. This will look really good on your resume. And by the way, if you're worried about my $50, I'm not even sure or if you think I'm worried about the $50, I'm not sure teachers, there'll be enough money in the budget to even pay us that next year. And I don't get any more for a 3, 4, or 5. This is about you, but I am pretty impressed with these. Okay, for most of you, but let's get everybody there. All right, so I'm just going to go over this DBQ hopefully kind of quickly. All right, so there's the title. You're not taking any notes on this. This is just to go over it, okay? All right, so all right, move this over here. Here's the question. Evaluate the extent. Now we got 2.5 weeks left before your, we got two weeks left, 2.5 weeks left before you take this exam. We're going to go over this, but evaluate the extent. I would assume you would say something along the lines of it had a huge effect, it had a somewhat of effect, or a minor effect. Clearly what they're doing in this document is sinking a whole bunch of Muslim ships, trying to take over. I would think this would have a pretty good effect, pretty big effect. But remember, your thesis has got to be ugly like your ex-girlfriend. So, all right, so write 3 sentences of contextualization. I did that on this just to make it short. You need to have 5, 6, or 7. And what I put here is I would put, and a lot of you did this. You talked about land-based trade, and I did this to go along with the videos because we just talked about this. Some of you figured that out. I'm trying to kind of make these go along with the videos we're watching, although I really can't do it every time. Anyway, some of you did that. You talked about the 3 big trades, the 3 big trade routes, and you worked this one in. Just make sure you put a lot of stuff. And the old saying is, the old country saying is, everything but the kitchen sink. If I was you, I would put the kitchen sink in too. So I'm having you do 3 sentences here just so this doesn't take you that long. I don't have any idea. I know some of you are watching your brothers and sisters. Maybe some of you have jobs, but I don't have it. I'm wondering about why some of you guys are sending me stuff 3 or 4 days late, because most of these videos you're watching are 5 minutes. So I don't know why it takes you so long to do 2 5-minute videos. I know you have to answer the questions and stop it and go back. But anyway, this should take you about 25, 30 minutes. That's what it's designed to do. But throw everything you can in. I don't care if it's a whole page, write what you can. All right, and most of you did very good there. All right, the thesis, and I've already hinted at that. Basically, this is the extent, I would say, if they're causing one Muslim leader to go to another Muslim leader and ask for help, this is having a pretty big effect on the Indian Ocean trade. Extent to which they transformed it, I would say C was a lot. I didn't put what I would have put for thesis here, but because I really wanted to talk about caps and outside evidence. By the way, about your notes, and I'm probably going to send you a message on this pretty soon. The day of the exam, there's 2 places where you can probably really use your notes. One of them is in the contextualization. So what I want you to have, if you can, is maybe 7 folders or something on your desk. You're going to have it organized by these units we've been doing. Okay. And so once you get your question, you should not ever give up any points on contextualization. As a matter of fact, Heimler, this guy whose videos you've been watching, he's got tons of extra videos out there. He says, and I agree with him, that the best place for you to use your notes, probably the only place you can use your notes, is in the contextualization and the outside evidence. And that would give you 3 points. Okay. So remember that a lot of smart people think you need 5 or 6 points to pass this thing. You can get 3 points from using your notes. I want those organized and out on your desk the day you do this. Okay. All right. So anyway, I'm not going to show you my thesis because I didn't really write one, but I would say something like what I said now. Here's the document, and this is a Muslim leader who is talking to Suleiman, who I assume is Suleiman the Magnificent. Okay, now remember, you can't use any of, you can, in your analysis, you can talk about this, and you should, but in your outside evidence, it's got to be stuff that's not here. Anyway, for most of you, you got points on the analysis. A couple of you, I sent you comments saying, hey, all you're doing is paraphrasing. You're just saying the same thing that was in the document. And that will probably get you the point, but really you need to use it to argue what your point is, okay? Point C, you need to argue that. But if all you can do is paraphrase it, do that. But that's not the best way to go. But most of you got the point for that. Caps. Now, I was really impressed with a lot of your work on the caps. Remember, caps has to be two-part, who they are and why they said it. And this is a Muslim leader, watch my hands here. This is one Muslim leader asking another Muslim leader for help. Here comes my second part. And he's asking him for financial and technological help. So because he's asking for money, he's probably trying to overstress how bad it was, or he might be exaggerating. Now, there's other ways you can do that. Just like some of you, when you go to your parents and ask for money or whoever, maybe that's not a good example. You try to really overstress why you need it, okay? Doesn't mean you're lying. All right, so anyway, here's the first part. It should be noted this was from the standpoint of a Muslim leader asking Suleiman the Magnificent, also a Muslim leader. Now, that's his audience. That's who he's writing to. That's the first part. Here's the second part, for financial and technological help. That's the purpose. Now, some of you wrote just that, and obviously that's what he's doing. But I'm working this in together, and you may have overstressed how bad it was to make sure he got all the help he could. That is point of view. And anyway, that's how I would do caps. And I'm probably going to have an assignment for you tomorrow to do caps on, to practice just on caps. Remember, this is 2 points. If you have gotten the 3 points, because outside evidence and contextualization, and then you can do the 2 caps right, you're at a 5 right there. And then the rest of the points hopefully will fall into place. All right, let's finish this up. And let's talk about outside evidence. Now, there's also, these are the Portuguese. Remember, I always draw my map and you guys always make jokes about what it looks like. But I always say that the Portuguese went first. They had that guy named Prince Henry, the navigator, who never went anywhere, but he funded the sailing school. The first explorer we talked about, and I draw a map of Africa on the board, is the guy who went around the coast of the bottom of Africa, which is called the Cape of Good Hope, bottom of the South America's Cape Horn. That guy was Diaz. I always says Bartholomew had a good day. Diaz was the first one we talked about. The second one was Da Gama, who went around and made it to India. Remember, they were looking for spices, specifically pepper and cloves and nutmeg and stuff like that. And the most famous sailor of all is probably not really, I guess it's Columbus, but the other one is Magellan. And Magellan was Portuguese, although he was working for the Spanish at the time, just like Columbus was Italian or Genoese, but he was working for the Spanish when he went. Anyway, what else do we have about the Portuguese? Remember the guy Cabral who was trying to go around South America, was trying to go around Africa, and I told you that sailboats don't go in a straight line. They zigzag, which is called tacking. He was trying to get a good wind, and he went so far to the so far to the west that he bumped into Brazil. I would throw all that in there. If some of you remember the Treaty of Tordesillas, I might throw that in. There's all sorts of things that happened. That was where the Pope drew the line, dividing this land between the Portuguese and the Spanish, and he drew it and gave Brazil by accident to the Portuguese. I would mention the navigational improvements. I would throw in everything I could that the Europeans had. All right, so got to be something that backs up point C. Point C was that they made a major change. Anyway, and again, my goal is for you just to try outside evidence. Hopefully you're going to have 3 documents, 3 groups, and so you're going to have 3 body paragraphs. And if you end every one with outside evidence, you will have 3 attempts, 3 tries to get this. Here's what I came up with. Oh, the Portuguese had always been aggressive. They were known for their seafaring exploits. And you can read this on your own, but this is just me grasping for points. I am, quote, BSing with finesse. And this is the end of the video for today. Most of you are doing very well. Just try to stay try to get your work done every day. I don't care if you do it at 2 o'clock in the morning. Just try to do it whenever you can on that day within 24 hours. And if you're having a problem, please send me email and let me know what's going on. Because remember, I'm on your side. Until tomorrow.